Hey everybody, it's Eric here, the Angry Tech at Leitz Music, and you know what I dislike more than communist, socialist, Guy Harvey shirts and flip-flops? It's poorly maintained and strung up guitars. And today I'm going to show you how to properly string a guitar. First we'll put our strings in. Alright, once we've got the bridge pins in and the strings in their proper slots here, I'm just going to organize them out here. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our E string. We're going to pull it taut and we're going to measure to the post of the A string. And we're going to cut just behind that post. Like that. And we're going to repeat this with the A string, but instead of cutting at the A post, we're going to cut just behind the G string post. Now for the D and G strings, we're going to measure to the very end of the headstock. And we're just going to cut just behind the headstock for both of those, since both of those posts are the same distance. Now for our B and E string, a little bit different here. We're going to pull it taut and we're going to measure to the post behind it, but we're also going to go back halfway behind that. And then for the E string, we're going to measure to the B post and just half of that between that and the G post. So now we've pre-cut and measured our strings. We're going to take our E string, we're going to stick it at an angle into the eyelet here with just a little bit hanging out there, and we're going to wind it just a little bit. When we start to feel a little pressure, we're just going to put a little bend in it. We're going to do one wrap above the excess, and then the rest of the wraps below. For your E and your A strings, you should get approximately about 2 to 3 wraps. So put it at an angle with just a little bit sticking out. Pinch it. Now with our D and G string, we should get about 3 to 4 wraps with this one. So we put it in an angle. Do a little bend and then one wrap above the excess and the rest below. Now the reason why we put it in at an angle is to allow the windings to kind of bite into the edge of the post, which kind of grips it in there. Same thing with our G string. Put it in at an angle and then do a slight bend to crimp it off. One wrap above and one wrap below. keeps on. Now, as these wound strings get tight, the pressure and the string tension will cinch up against the excess that's sticking out of the post. But also, with it being a wound string, the wind will bite into the post and keep it from slipping. Now here we get to the plain strings, and this is where I see the most probably destruction or incorrectness used of the winding technique here. And as a side note, we want to make sure all of our winds are going from the inside and wrapping that way. We don't want them wrapping this way, counterclockwise. We want to wrap clockwise like that. We want all of our strings on the inside of the headstock, not the outside of the headstock. So now, with the plain strings, with the B and the E, I'm sure all of you have watched a bunch of misleading and misinformed, videos and read some things where you have to tie them off and do some sort of special thing. This is all nonsense. You don't have to do that. These will, if you can have proper strength without it slipping, without having to do all that tying nonsense. What happens later on is that tying nonsense just becomes a mess, makes it harder and more difficult to get the string out of the post when you're restringing, and also it's less efficient doing it that way. So here's how we do this. We pre-cut to length our B string here. We'll stick the string in at an angle again, okay, and then we will apply pressure and bend the string just a little bit, and then we'll start to wind. On this time we'll do 2 wraps above the excess. So when you get around to the entry point of the eyelet, slowly roll around, bring your string again the second time above the excess, and now you can continue on and do your rest of the wraps below the excess. Like I said before, the string tension, as the string tightens up and gets to pitch, it will tighten up around that excess. It won't slip. Don't be afraid. It will not slip at all. And we'll do that for the E string here. Put in an angle. You don't have to put in a lot. You can just do like maybe, a quarter of an inch out, or maybe even an eighth, and just pinch it off like that. And as you can see, it didn't slip. Two wraps above the excess, and then the rest below. Now we're out of tune, but we were actually, got our strings in there. As you can see how nice and clean that looks, as well as there's no tying on or any mess being made. It was having to, and there's no slipping going on because we, properly did the winding there. So let's get this up to pitch using our SpectraFlex headstock tuner here. Now sometimes I will over tighten the string as I'm stringing the instrument to put extra pressure on it, and that will help naturally stretch the strings. So this is at F sharp. We can just back it off to when we get to pitched with E. By over tuning the string on your string up, it allows the string to stretch a bit more, and you get to pitch and stay in pitch sooner. See, we're a whole step above. We can just come back down to A. look at that. No ridiculous stretching needed on the strings. They've already stretched themselves. They're staying in pitch. You might be a little hair off, you know, here and there, but for the most part, the strings are up to pitch and staying in pitch without having to stretch the strings any amount. So let's give it a strum here and see how this Martin sounds. Man, that guitar sounds good. And there we have it. That is how we properly and professionally string a guitar that has 3x3 headstock tuners. Now remember, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So just take care next time, do it the proper way, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.